All right, the Reds, how are we? Big show tonight. If you are new around here, hit that subscribe button down below. Head over to Kev's channel as well, Spider LFC and the Kitmen. And strap yourselves in this evening or this morning, whatever you are watching on Sunday morning. And hope you've all had a very good weekend. Kev, big show. I'd say probably the biggest show, probably the biggest signings, the biggest position that Liverpool need to make in this coming transfer window. Would have liked to have been done in Jurgen Klopp's tenure, but it wasn't to be anyway. But Kev, how are you, lad?
I'm good, bud. Yourself? Long time no see.
Safe and scouse, lad, as they say anyway. All good as well, mate. Obviously, tonight's show, it's all right, me and Kev giving our suggestions, but we are more interested in what you all think in the comment section below. If you're watching live, we will try and read out as many comments as we possibly can. If you are watching on the repeat as well, do always get involved in the comment section below as well. And massive thank you to everyone's comments over the last couple of nights as well. We've tried to reply to as many as we possibly can. Once we get straight into, obviously, proceedings, we'll go into a couple of the comments as well that were left by a couple of the people, new subscribers as well, or just viewers on the channel as well. So, Kev, you've picked 5. I've picked 6. Because, sorry, it's...
well, I picked quite a few, but...
Yeah, you picked some of our main players that we... ideally picked from a personal point of view. I tried to make it. Connor from the Cop Council was meant to be coming on this evening. He hopefully could potentially be joining us as well. He's got his suggestions, so we'll have a little look at the data and everything in terms of positional wise, where these players do play, would they potentially fit in to Liverpool's system as well. But in chat, get your comments in, get your suggestions in terms of the number 6 position for Liverpool. Because as I said, literally at the top of the show, if Liverpool don't get this position sorted this coming season, I think it'll be really difficult for Arne Slot to get the results over the line. It's one thing having the attacking flair that Liverpool do have, the defensive flair that we do have, but even at the end of Jurgen Klopp's tenure, I think post the Fabinho era, Kev, it was such a prominent position for Fabinho, and when we seen his drop-off, his ridiculous drop-off, which is anticipated because we run him into the ground at his time at Liverpool, he was literally covering 3 positions for the majority of his tenure at Liverpool, Kev. But thoughts on the number 6? How important is it for you?
It's fairly important. At least if it's not a sitting defensive midfielder, at least get a box-to-box guy in there, somebody that can help the defense out and build up with the attack. You know, Fabinho was the best in the world for a period of time in his position. You know, nobody could. You probably had Fernandinho was coming to the end of his time at Manchester City. Great, you know, sitting midfielder. They tried other midfielders as well there with City. You had, you know, you'd not up and comers like Truman, doing well in their teams, and before they go to Real Madrid and then get ruined, you know, because they're just in rotational systems rather than holding their own systems. So that's why they can drop off a cliff. But you know, if you're used to what Taro when Endo came in last year, and you know, with all that pressure of his age, all that pressure of, you know, having to fill a role that Fabinho held and dominated so well for many years up until his last season or so at Liverpool. You know, even when Henderson went in there, he tried his hardest. We've never really recovered.
Going into the new season with Endo for every Liverpool fan, it's no discredit on him. He could do amazing. He could be our number 6, but it's not ideal. Like we can't, unless someone's got a crystal ball and can see into the next 12 months. Please do let us know anyway. But yeah, I can understand the frustrations as well. Obviously, people on the last video that we done, Kev. I get to quickly get to the lads' comments anyway, but I can understand where people are coming from both spectrums in terms of we need to really get a player in. It's like, yes, we spoke about that last night. Me and us two are not like panicking, but like the sections of our fan base that are already panicking, and we're 4 weeks out or 5 weeks out until the new season, until the window shuts as well. So, or it might be a bit more shorter time anyway. But yeah, everyone, calm down. It'll be sounds and I can, it'd be good. Panov, Evening, Jack and Kev. How are we, mate? Hope you
Hi,
are
Planet.
well, mate. Hope you're having a very good Saturday afternoon, mate, or evening, wherever anyone is watching as well. Callum, the lineup opening day will be very similar to last season, but I think we sign a centre-back, a DM, a winger, and maybe a left-back as well. Callum, panel of chat, anyone just jumping in as well. Get your suggestions in as well. So like me and Kev getting our suggestions in, but the foundations of this channel were made to try and get as many interactions involved. It's a Liverpool community. Wherever you live around the world, you are a Red. You're absolute legends as well. Carvalho to get the nod at left wing at Ipswich. Callum, is that a rumour that I've missed this afternoon as well, mate?
Over Gakpo, though. Gakpo's in fine form at the moment. I don't know if he'll be shifted from that left wing position. It's a good show but you see, Carvalho, he was tried there by Klopp for the left wing, and it didn't work. You know, he's a number 10 out and out. You could probably convert him to a false 9 like Bobby, but then you're taking Nunez and Jota out of the equation, and you know, I don't think that'd suit him. Like, you know, could try him on the right hand side midfield, because probably be a bit better on that side rather than coming in from the left. But no, for me, unless Slot is able to utilise his ability to play through the middle of the park, through the middle of the forward line, it's going to be hard for him, I think.
Yeah, it was very disappointed that his loan out to Leipzig didn't work out. I think he didn't play a lot of minutes, really, and I think RB Leipzig weren't best too pleased, really, regardless whether it was form or injury or whatnot. It's you would have anticipated, but obviously Xavi Simons, Leipzig are trying their utmost best to really bring him into the football club, which you can understand. The form in which he showed, the goal against England as well, just showcased to the point, really, is phenomenal quality, even for a young player of his age. I think he just needs to leave PSG, if I'm being honest, and just get a full transfer, whether that be a Leipzig or another top European side anyway. That really just plays him as well. But obviously, we'll be going into the recommendations as well, chat. Please do keep on getting your comments in as well. We will read them out as we do go on this evening as well, Kev. But who do you want to suggest first for you, mate? Do you want to save the best till last and get a couple
I'll save the best and the ultimate guy that I want to last. No, there was one that I wanted for the last few seasons, but there's one more guy that's after topping him now. Yeah. So it's hard. I'm going to start with the guy that I've loved for the past few seasons that can play in a multitude of positions, but that has now been topped, and that's David Hancko. David Hancko. So Slot knows him well. I was talking about Hancko even before he went to Feyenoord, and
it's to be noted as well, though, Kev, is more favoured position is a centre back anyway. Obviously, can play left back, but you're saying that he can potentially play in that.
Yeah, the DM role, because he's more when he plays in that role, he's more of a box to box. He's more of an anchor player. He's not no DM per se, but he's a utility player that can come in and do what James Milner used to do. If you put him in a position, he'll just cover it. It's that simple. He can just adapt to most positions. So I'm thinking he's a good enough boy, you know. He's only 26 still, so there's a good 7 years in him playing in that role, in a DM role that you could easily play comfortably, without drifting. If he wasn't a guy that drifted forward too much, but you can see there in his stats, like his progressive carries, his passes, his take-ons are fantastic. They're up in the 99% percentile, and you cover that, you bring that over from the Eredivisie League, and you knock off about 4% off of that, and you're still sitting in the 95 percentile.
What is it you like the most about his game, really, in terms of
his adaptability, just the abilities? I know it says that he plays. He's left-footed is one main thing. His main foot is his left foot. So we are crying out for somebody with a left foot within the squad that can play in a multitude of positions. But he can play with his right foot as well. But he's predominantly his left foot is one thing. Just his ability to read positional senses. You see, even sensing danger really quickly. He was that guy. If you didn't see it in the European Championships, he cleared the ball off the line with that amazing clearance as well. But look, I've been talking about the dude for 4 years. I think he's a great utility player. He keeps quiet. He's vocal on the pitch, but he's a quiet dude off the pitch. So it's kind of what you want, as a squad player, and you'd get him cheap. Very cheap.
It's interesting that you picked him, mate, and I know people were screaming at telly or the video on post live as well, going to centre back. Well, I think it's going to be interesting fundamentally.
He was only a centre back at Feyenoord for last season. That's it. Before that, he was utility player, left back, centre midfield. But he had to because there was a major injury in Feyenoord last season, so he had to fill in that position. And he did his best that he could there, you know?
Yeah, it's systematically, really, potentially Liverpool do go to a free back under Slot, or obviously the big key word with Arne Slot coming into Liverpool is, and he spoke about his time in the Dutch league as well. You know, he wants his players to be comfortable and being able to play in a variety of positions. It's no good the modern day era of football now just trying to shoehorn players in for the sake of it. I don't like what we have done over the last couple of years with Trent. You know my thoughts on that, Kev, and people on the channel over the last week as well. That just I want to be seeing Trent in the best position possible to get the best out of him. I don't want to be seeing this notion of just trying to shoehorn him into that 6 where we've had 4 or 5 great years of him when he's got protection from Fabinho the years prior to where he's just getting up the pitch, whipping in balls, getting into those crucial areas of the pitch and really creating really well for Liverpool. But interesting, Kev.
Trying to work in that position next to somebody like David Hancko perfectly if you played as the lads were laughing at me when they said the last thing because there's so many numbers I'm about to mention. 4-2-2-1-1. So if you did that one, it's you're sitting there with Trent sitting alongside of whoever the natural box to box or the DM is, and then you've pretty much a trio in front of you with the striker. So yeah, there's a multitude of positions, but those kind of positions won't suit Salah. But if Salah is like something happens to Salah, or there's a slight injury, or he's not playing, or he's not getting a start, or something, then you could change to these formations, and it would work a treat. I'm looking forward to seeing what Slot does with formations. Regardless, because I want to see what he does outside of our main guys if he needs to. So that his adaptability is what I want to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting chat. There's a couple of comments that have in terms of people that have already got them in as well. Daryl, we get to Callum's comments as well. Gakpo is back. Forget maybe Carvalho and in a 10 position as
if
well.
We play a 10, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Daryl, Kubo rumours been going on for the last 5-6 years as well.
Has it? It's my first time ever hearing about Kubo being linked to us, but it's all over. I'm actually looking at it here now. It is all over the place.
Yes, and one of them as well, chat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wouldn't want there, but just don't see it, to be honest, and get a 2 left-footed centre backs and a DM and get it done. Only going to past seasons, mate, as well. Now Matip has left. It's a priority to sign a centre back and a DM. 100% there, Philip. 100% there, mate. I've got my first suggestion in terms of DM as well. But firstly, as I said, I was meant to have done this at the top of the show. This is the barometer, really, in terms of DM positions in European football. Rodri has made a career out of being the best number 6 at this moment in time over the last, what would you say, Kev? How many seasons?
Last couple of seasons at least. But I mean, you've other guys that are as good if you want to count Tony Kroos and that, if you want to count. How's it going, me?
There we go, Kev.
And look, Rodri is he's the guy at the moment. That's the pinnacle of where it's at for the number 6 role. There's a few others out there that are doing really well. They're just not in such a high profile position as Manchester City, such a high pressure position as Manchester City. For me, Rodri's looked in the European Championships as good as Spain were. He looks like he's slowed down a bit. It looks like he's he's feeling a bit. So that might carry on over into this season, hopefully. Just for us, for our point of view, anyway, but he's very good, So yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to very much see him going to Real Madrid anyway. 100%. See him going to Real Madrid. But obviously Declan Rice. So when we do analyse the data tonight as well, in relation, you've got to caveat that really with certain teams, obviously with Manchester City being extremely dominant in terms of the possession. So obviously you look at the data in which Rodri does possess there. He's in obviously the 44 percentile in terms of tackles in European football. So obviously he plays for City. He doesn't make a lot of tackles really. So this is where, when we're throwing out a couple of names, when you do make some of the suggestions as well, just to really, we all know it, but in terms of just trying to balance that, getting that right balance where they play as well. So fundamentally, the players that are down there in terms of the relegation zone or do get relegated or whatnot, will predominantly be playing a lot more minutes, be playing against sides that do keep hold of possession a lot more and tend to really make statistically a lot more tackles as well. So it's going to be one of them. In terms of looking at Declan Rice's numbers off the back of last season as well, very balanced in terms of percentiles as well, pass completion, progressive passes in terms of direct balls in behind the back
Those
of the
are very box-to-box stats rather than a DM stats. So I think that's what that Arsenal are kind of playing. That's a giveaway there. Like, he's capable of coming back and winning the ball back, Declan Rice, but they are very, very box-to-box stats right there.
100% there, mate. 100%. Let's get to Matip's comment. Callum, we lads, Pacho, my ideal centre back, big, strong, aggressive player as well. Big up there, Lee. How are we, lads? Big up there as well. How are we? Euro decent every 3 nights. Big up there, lads. Euro made a decent. I didn't even watch it, mate, but big up there, lad. It's for that amount of money. Obviously, he's come with a big reputation. He'll do good, and he will do good at Manchester United, in all honesty. I know, obviously, the last week as well, not sour grapes really, but it's going to be interesting. A player that I firstly want to have a little look at, obviously, Jens Stag, in terms of playing for Werder Bremen. It's going to be an interesting one. He's a player that...
Wait, did United play today? I was just looking at it here. They're not playing till half 8, are they?
Oh, are they not playing? I'm not too sure. Pick up there, lad. In terms of this youngster, anyway, he's the data-wise, he's in the top percentile. Obviously, playing in the Bundesliga, it's about getting that right balance. It's a bit of an out there suggestion, really, for me. When you do look at Eric Metal as well, it's interesting for Metal, obviously playing for Cologne. Yes, he did get relegated, and this is exactly what I was saying before. He did finish, looking at my notes anyway, he did finish 17th in the Bundesliga and featuring 30 times, getting 1 goal and 1 assist as well. So it's one of them, Kev.
This guy's a CDM, is he? Because he's more like a centre-back.
More of an
out-and-out CDM.
Out-and-out CDM, really. The destroyer at the heart of the Cologne defence. Systematically, they did play a 4-2-3-1 in and around a 4-3-3 formation for Cologne this season as well, but he's an out-and-out destroyer. He's a young player as well that would very much settle into life in the Premier League really well. Got a big frame about him. I don't think he'd have any difficulties really adapting to the Premier League, but it's just a bit of an out one there. When I was looking at the data last night in terms of analysing certain players, certain positions, comparing them to other players in and around Europe's top 5 leagues, he did kind of stand out for me in terms of the age profile as well, and mainly his positional wise as well.
Those midfield stats in the middle are awful.
Yeah.
The passes, completion, progressive passes, the carries, successful take-ons, touches.
The way I look at that though, Kev, I look at it, I want a destroyer. Like, we'll have a little look at couple. I've got a bit more balanced midfielders.
Yeah.
It's what you want or what we think Arne Slot will want. Do we want a more aggressive defensive midfielder? Someone that is, as obviously Mattel's stats there, as Kev said, not the best. Well, certainly not.
This means that we won't be able to counter attack with him. It means he'll clear the ball and that's it. And then there'll be no unless Slot
no, but we've got the likes of Szoboszlai, we've got the likes of McAllister. That for me, they are your flair players.
Yeah.
They
have to receive the ball from this guy to be able to, and if he's just going to hoof it up the pitch, he's going to get a snow.
Yeah, certainly not.
That's what by these stats, it's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah. Zubimendi, Kev, you want to go with him?
Better. Zubimendi's better. Yeah. He's better. You know, he's probably one of the easiest options to get at the moment out of all of the options that are available, besides the lower team ones. Real Sociedad. We've got a good relationship with Real Sociedad in the past as well. So, look, it's he does exactly what it says in the thing, but at least he's making. This guy, the stats are better than him because he's pass completion. He's attempting passes. He's attempting completion. When you look at the stats on the last one, Matar, a brilliant shot stopper and all of that. But I think where you go with this is his interceptions. He's not there to block, so he doesn't let the play get to to defend. So that's what I want to see from a DM. Is I don't want to see it where our backline's in trouble and we have to make blocks and we have to make aerial clearances in the box. And we want that from corners, but you want aerials won, which is the one thing that you want high, because he's going to be taking people in the middle of the park and he's going to be jumping with them and winning headers. So that is good. The clearances are good for what he needs to. So you're talking those 77s around from corners and stuff. Passes attempted completion, they're only in the 60th percentile, but he is playing in Real Sociedad, which is predominantly a counter-attacking team, really, a defensive counter-attacking team. So you'd see those stats completely rise if he was to join a team like Liverpool. It would completely turn around.
100% that. As I said, chat is probably get your suggestions in for the number 6 position as well. These are only our slight suggestions, not saying that Liverpool will get these players. Everyone can calm down there as well anyway, but it's going to be, as I said at the top of the show, it's so extremely important that we get it sorted, really, in all honesty, because I do feel going into a season with the likes of Bajcetic, I've got a lot of hope for him. I honestly hope he does thrive at Liverpool. Obviously, puts his injuries behind him, and obviously getting that right balance. Obviously, Endo, perfect squad player. Not expecting him to play 38 games a season in the Premier League. And where we want to be as well is competing with the likes of Manchester City, competing with the likes of Arsenal as well. Number one as well, in all honesty, Bruno Guimaraes. He's a player that I have really liked in the Premier League. He's got bags of minutes under his belt. Will command quite a big fee, in all honesty, a big transfer fee at the minute. But in terms of, as you alluded to, very different to the player that I did have a little look before. Kev, he's a DM, plays for Brazil as well. Obviously, I know everyone was going at Brazil in the last Copa America.
He's very similar to Declan Rice. He's probably the most similar player that you're going to find on the list to Declan Rice. Box-to-box type defensive midfielder.
So I think he did have a buyout. I don't know if that buyout has passed as well. Newcastle with their FFP difficulties in terms of obviously them needing potential money coming in as well. It's do you like that suggestion, Kev? Or
no, I don't mind. I just think he's not a viable option, because out of all the players that Newcastle are asking money for, they can probably get that money for this guy. So, if they're saying 75 million for Anthony Gordon, there's no way any club is paying 75 million for Anthony Gordon, because he's not hit the ground running at Newcastle, regardless of his talent based at Everton. We're not buying him off Everton. If they're not offering it to Everton, they're offering it to Liverpool, and they're offering a player that they only bought a year ago to Liverpool. Who's a Liverpool fan has no problem coming to us, but like 35 million maybe to make a recovery sale. They can make 35 out of their 45 spend. We could probably do a deal with them where they make an extra 6 or 7 million if we do something in the league or something. That's the most I could see happening with Anthony Gordon. But with Guimaraes, they could ask easily for 80 million for him. 80 to 100. Yeah, easily.
In terms of his impact in terms of Newcastle last season as well, getting seven assists.
He's the more important player, the most important player in the pitch. Him and Isak when he's fit.
Yeah, sorry there, miss. Yeah, seven goals, 8 assists. Did pick up 9 yellow cards as well in the Premier League. Did play in a 4-3-3 system. Obviously adapted certain elements, obviously under Eddie Howe, to a 4-2-3-1 system as well. But Bruno is a player that I've admired for a couple of seasons. It was on record that obviously Manchester City and Liverpool, prior to his move to Newcastle, that we did have a little look with Pep Guardiola and obviously Jurgen Klopp as well. But it's for me, if he was made available, I think 80 to 100 million, everyone might wince at that, the thought of that price tag. But I think in terms of what he does offer as Premier League experience and fundamentally a lot of football and quality as well into this Liverpool side, the Geordies wouldn't like to see him go because they know how important he is. But if Newcastle don't get another European campaign, another Champions League campaign, I think a lot of their top players will be looking to potentially move next summer. Certainly, if you don't get the,
I think they're looking to move this summer. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I'd be surprised if Guimaraes is still there next year with no Champions League football. How old is he?
Bruno, 26. Yeah,
he'd want to be moved. He's
prime, going into his prime.
Yeah, if they don't get it, Is he guaranteed to get next season? I mean, United have improved. We've kind of said the same. City have improved slightly. Arsenal are going to improve. That's already 4 teams right there. Chelsea look like they, we see if they can turn it around and come and start battling for top 4. It's all up against Newcastle, regardless of their new owners or whoever's after taking over there. Easily those players could jump ship, and it's just a case of not getting top 4 could be the downfall of Newcastle and their team, really.
Yeah. Chat, let us know your thoughts on Bruno. Do you like him as a player? Let's get to everyone's comments as well. Big up there, late. Exactly. Being interested in a player doesn't mean being the transfer budget on him as well. 100% daily. I'm guessing, obviously, you did watch the last couple of videos as well, me and Kev have done, but spot on there, mate.
Yeah, Lee, we said yesterday in the thing, Liverpool have scouted a multitude of players, but that doesn't mean they put an offer in from them. They're just interested, the same as everybody else. Even with the Euro deal and all of that, Liverpool watched them, United watched them, Real Madrid watched them, Arsenal watched them, Chelsea watched them, Newcastle watched them, but the only ones that made moves for him were Real Madrid. And then, when they didn't want to do the 150k a week, United came in and stupidly spent it. It could turn out well for him, but that's a lot of money on a kid, a big risk.
Yeah. Big up there, Christian. That's the beauty of doing a live stream. What are we, 26 minutes in? You missed the concept of the video, fundamentally, mate. This is our suggestions, as I said. Mm-hmm. You get your suggestions in, and I can guess.
Who's your source on that, Christian? Could you put it in the chat, please?
Yeah, I was going to say, unless you know his agent, please do let us
know. Yeah.
As Christian said here, guys in the chat, Liverpool are only in for Edison if we don't get him. We don't buy it here.
Yeah, but who's your source?
Yeah. Heinz Beans, probably. Heinz Beans. There we go. Sleepy Forest, how are we, lads? I think we'll get Edison from Atalanta as well. Yes, it's had a very good season by all accounts, winning the Europa League as well. Hoping Atalanta get a Champions League spot as well. So yeah, it's going to be one of them. It wouldn't surprise me if Edison does go to another like Juve or another City side. In all honesty, yet again, Kev, it's just going to be for me. It feels like the Edison transfer. It's just going to be one of them. If he signs to Liverpool, fantastic. He's got a lot of footballing qualities that we could certainly see thriving in a Liverpool system. But for me, it just feels like another agent or a lot of news outlets really just trying to link Edison with Liverpool, just trying to get that extra added 10, 15, 20 million onto the player's price tag.
Yeah. I mean, it's there. I mean, if we all know if Paul Joyce reports it or David Ornstein reports it, it's actually it's 99%, news. So if it's anybody else reporting or any random websites or whatever like that, it's just a clickbait news there, so that they can get clicks to the site. That's it. And all they're doing is just pray. They're preying on your FOMO, as they call it, your fear of missing out, your fear of a need for a signing, your fear of just they're just preying on you. That's it.
Yeah, understands. Big up the Omanaho. Hopefully I've said that right, mate. Apologies. Yeah. Edison Passam doesn't seem to be great.
I want to say this name. This is an awesome name.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oguchukwu Amano. Am I right? Oguchukwu Amano. I hope I got that. That's a cool name, dude.
Yeah. But we'll get straight into your suggestion there. And
that's my dude.
Yeah, so one of Kev's suggestions.
Same with Hancko. I mean, same season I've been going on about Hancko. I was going on about this guy because I wanted Hancko to kind of come in and maybe do left back as a backup for Robertson, and then he can do a utility player by doing around that. I didn't want Hancko as a 6. I just have him in there kind of as a utility player because he's better at the left back position. But Youssouf Fofana, I've been watching for a few seasons, man, and he's fantastic. His stats are more box to box, I should say. You need a player that has progressive passes. You need a guy that can turn the ball over. He can take on. When he wins the ball back, he can turn a guy. He can hold the ball up. Interceptions is the main thing that you have to look in most players. Intercepting is probably the hardest thing that you can do as a DM. It's great chasing a fella down and getting a tackle or whatever, but being in a position where you know that ball is going to go somewhere else, and if you know that ball is not going to go somewhere else, or to another teammate on the opposition side, and that player can get into that position because he can read it faster. It's the hardest thing for the DM to do, and it's the most important that you'll see a guy you rated on. So if he's at 71 there in the percentile, that's fairly good for interceptions. So but no, look, I've been raving about Fofana for a good while. I just think he's a brute. He's also sleeky. So there's a bit of both worlds in him, and I think he can be developed in a bigger team with better players. I think he can thrive really. I'm very surprised he's still at Monaco, to be honest with you.
It wouldn't cost an arm and a leg, really, in terms of what he's coming with. What was it, Forest with 2 seasons ago?
40 million euros, maybe something like that, just to kind of in the whole total deal. So like, what's that, about 30, 32, 33 million pounds?
Yeah, something around that ballpark.
Yeah, get him. Yeah, even less than that, maybe you could even pick him up for 25 million pounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's worth it though.
Pick up there. There's Ugo. There we go, miss.
That's cool, yeah. I wanted to attempt it, yeah.
Yeah, all good, mate. So obviously that's Kev's one of suggestions as well. As Callum said there, yeah, Bruno isn't a destroyer, so I wouldn't take him as well. Yeah. It's about getting Callum that right balance in it fundamentally, really, for every Liverpool fan out there has got their own suggestions. The lads in the data department for Liverpool will analyse quite heavily, really, as they have done over the last couple of seasons as well. Obviously, going for Sociedad a couple of years ago, it was last season anyway, in the window, didn't work out. Obviously, he already had his heart set on joining Chelsea as well. So you'd like to hope, and it is hope, that hopefully that it does get sorted. But I think it'd be really difficult fundamentally to see Liverpool not bringing in a 6. It just, I can't fathom really that world to actually understand and not really bring him in really. So it's going to be one of them. Honestly, it's an exciting one. Richard Diaz as well. Richard.
Let me look him up. I haven't seen that. So let me look him up. Let me see.
Yeah. So let us know 100%. But
is it Richard or Ricardo? Richard Diaz.
Yes. There we go. So that was interesting. Chat. It looks like obviously Ugarte is going to Manchester United by all accounts this evening. I think Fabrizio did tweet a couple of hours ago this morning, Saturday morning, that he was, if you've been watching my channel over the last couple of years, has been a player fundamentally that I've felt Liverpool should have really got before this move to Paris Saint-Germain. I think he's not that he struggled in Paris. I think he's just not really getting a proper look in under the management there anyway. But it's going to be one of them. My next suggestion would be Pape Matar of Tottenham. Obviously, Sarr is 21 years old. He registered 34 appearances for Tottenham last season. Obviously, getting 3 goals, 3 assists, and 9 yellow cards in the running of last season. Predominantly playing in a 4-2-3-1 system, Tottenham, as we know. But this lad's really promising. I think he's adapted extremely well to the Premier League. I think the opportunities in which he's been given at Tottenham, especially with obviously the DM players that have been, was it Bentancur did get injured last season with a bad injury. Højbjerg as well over the last 2 seasons has been in and out of that Tottenham side. But I think for Sarr, he certainly, if he continues with these statistics, especially going into next season, post next season, I think Tottenham will struggle, especially if you don't get European football as well. They like to set Van, the quick lad at the back, the Dutch lad. His name's evading me, Kev. What's his name? The Dutch lad.
For Spurs.
Mickey van der Ven. There we go.
Van der Ven. Yeah. Sorry, for Spurs. That's what it was when you had Sepp van den Berg there in my head for a second.
Obviously, Sarr potentially leaving as well if you don't get Champions League football this year, and even Heung-min Son. Obviously, even though he is captain of Tottenham, I think a player of his quality certainly does deserve to be playing at the top echelons, really, of European football. So it's going to be one of them, chat. But I think he's a lot of balance. Certainly a very balanced midfielder. And I think the formation, but the main thing, Kev, as well, when you do look at players as well, like we all do, I think watching them in the Premier League against your team as well, it adds a bit more weight in terms of them playing, developing in the Premier League, first and foremost. Obviously, there's going to be an adaptation period for any overseas players coming into the Premier League, but we've seen the list is endless, really, to players that have just come into the Premier League and hit the ground running.
Yeah. Look, it's tough. Obviously, it's tougher for a player to come into the Premier League, and it's the biggest league in the world for a long time. The league had that top spot for a while. Italy had that spot, when you had the teams like AC Milan and Juventus and Inter all battling away and winning everything at the time. It was the same with Real Madrid and Barcelona winning everything in Europe at the time. They're talking early 90s and stuff like that. But since the 90s onwards, and since the television rights deals, and since the development brought in by the Premier League, within the stature, the Premier League has just rose and rose and rose to the biggest league in the world, by a country mile, payments-wise, everything-wise. But, that's a big step up for any young player coming in. Sarr's done well at Spurs for the state of Spurs, that they were in they were good for the first half of the season, really, if you want to, good to mediocre, and then they were just kind of like poor to mediocre second half of the season. They kind of dropped off a cliff, it's look, if say he's not moving anywhere, he's a one for you, but I don't think he'll be able to move from Spurs. He's only just after arriving, hasn't he?
He's been there 2 seasons now.
Is it 2 seasons now? Was it? Okay, so
for me,
maybe January,
Tottenham.
maybe.
It is Tottenham. Like, fair enough, if it was Chelsea or an Arsenal that you're taking them from. But I think Liverpool's history as well, especially pinching Luis Diaz off under the noses of Tottenham a couple of seasons ago anyway. I think of Liverpool, there's only a couple of football clubs in world football. It's Man United, obviously, Real Madrid and Liverpool. And of course, Barcelona as well, even though they're going through one of the difficult moments at the minute in terms of their club. Yeah, but I think the top teams, there's no turning. A player like Sarr, if the opportunity did arise where he could join them, then certainly could be one of them where he could join a football club. But that's certainly me. I'd say he's probably one of my top targets, really. I think he balances really well with the data in terms of, and that Premier League proven as well. Just adds a bit more bumpers up in terms of that as well, Kev. Who's your next player that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, we'll get through Fabian Ruiz because he was one of the lowest ones on my list. He did well for Spain.
Yeah, he's 28 years old as well.
He is, yeah. So it's just, you get him, you probably get him slightly cheaper than what some of the rest of the guys, and he's a bit under the radar. He's done well at PSG, but I mean, it's for it was between, he's been there, he's been rotating with Ugarte, he's been rotating, there's a few that kind of stand up to the wheels, but he is, he's a stature in the middle of the park. He's past completion says it all there, and he can assist as well, which is great. But he does like to press, he does like to intercept, he does like to cover, he likes to put in a tackle, and he's one of the lower down guys on my list. He does like to control a game off in the middle of the park, so that's not too often you see that. He's better in a possession-based team, is what I would say, more than a counter-attacking team.
He's certainly got pedigree of playing against Liverpool, obviously in that Napoli side as well, obviously transitioning extremely well by all accounts, being one of PSG's key players this season, really. But as you said there, Kev, it's an interesting player. I think if he was a couple of years younger, in terms of 24, 23 years old, I think certainly Liverpool might have, and a lot of top teams would have certainly been looking. But you never know, Kev. We signed Thiago Alcantara. Yeah. So I know obviously that was an opportunity, sometimes too good to turn away from. But
there's always boys that are there for 28 plus for at least one player to come in with experience. It's great. You can go around, you can buy all of these guys between the ages of 23, 24 and 28. 26, or let's say 27, and then there's one that you might bring in at your 28, 29, just for a balance when there's got a bit more experience, and a new guy that kind of balances that can balance some of the newer guys coming in as well, because it doesn't hit him as hard as the other guys. So Fabian Ruiz could be one of those. Look, he's one of the lower down guys on my list before we get to the good ones, but it was a shout. That he can do that. He can play on the midfield role, the centre midfield role, and he can do a bit of DM work as well, which is great.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Chat, get your comments in as well. Obviously, speaking of, Connor was meant to be on this afternoon as well, but we'll quickly go to that. That was one of Connor's suggestions. I think we've got his data there. Obviously, Morten, the Latham Sport.
Morten Hjulmand.
Humans, there we go.
Hjulmand.
Yeah, statistically, when you look at his data, just move that comment there, mate. You go. Sorry, mate. Let's move this. Comments interesting. Makes interesting reading. Especially coming, I'm still angry at Sporting Lisbon, in all honesty, with their manager and the way in which he acted. I think West Ham fans are still fuming, but obviously that league has predominantly produced some of the best talent, certainly in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's a hotbed of real, pure Portuguese talent as well. I know he's not Portuguese, but obviously he's
Norwegian, is he?
Norwegian or I think he's Norwegian or he's certainly Scandinavian, to say the least. Anyway, but
that's not great though.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about this player. Connor, obviously from the Cop Council, was meant to be coming on this evening. Certainly, he's one of those players that was on his radar. Really,
he's probably an eye player. Somebody you see in the eye rather than the actual overall stats, but those overall stats are shocking. Progressive carries is probably one of the worst I've seen ever.
100%.
In 2%. Yeah.
Me and Kev will be on words. So it's going to be interesting, one of them. I think, you've done, do you want to do your final one, your big one?
I have two. Didn't we not have two more?
Well, yeah, you got the Argentinian and the
Spanish.
No, you've already done Zubimendi?
Did we do Zubimendi?
Yeah.
Okay, we did, yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, so my final guy and the main guy that I would like to go for if I had a chance, because there's only one person that's standing in the way of this guy coming to Liverpool, and it's a former Red in the name of Xabi Alonso. So I would like Ezequiel Palacios, who is one of them. You know, I've been watching him, and I had him in my top 5, and then I had a conversation with Owen from Cop on the other day, and we were just going through it, and then I was just building more and more love for the dude, just for the stats alone and stuff. So look, he is your box to box, but he's a tackler, he's a closer down, he's your interceptor, he's a bulldog, you know. So if you're talking about Ederson being that, this dude is the next level above that. So, you know, the both guys, they're probably on an equal pair, but you know, he's one of the main reasons why Bayer Leverkusen went unbeaten last season, for what he did. He did look, when you look at this for a DM, he didn't have to block much. He didn't have to do many clearances and areas one, but his tackles and his interceptions are 82 and 95. That'll tell you that the ball didn't get to the Bayer Leverkusen box too often, because he was there stopping it all from happening. So that's the point. That's the whole the whole reason why that bottom tiered box is what it means. It's the defensive side of what he has to do. And if you're already attacking players that are on the ball before they get to your defenders, and you're winning it, then your defenders might as well just, you know, put down a couple of sunbeds and go to sleep, because he'll be a dream to play in front of Virgil van Dijk, this dude.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's an interesting player, certainly. It's, as you said, it's one of the most difficult teams really to get any players from. I think the interesting one fundamentally for when you look at Leverkusen's team is Frimpong. He's got a buyout clause, so it might have run out this week, or might run out this week or next week. But I think he's got like 35
around now or something.
But if you're Palacios, Palacio, how it's pronounced, apologies there to the Argentinians. But certainly, it would be a stellar sign for Liverpool if he could get that over.
So the only difference there is that you see, Xabi Alonso made a deal with the owners of Bayer Leverkusen that if he was staying, he wanted to keep 7 of his core team at the club, and that was the main deal. Now, the club can say no to that all they want if anybody comes in for a player, but if the player starts asking to leave himself, then, you know, it's nothing to do with the club, or like it wouldn't be an issue for Alonso or the club as the reason why, you know, they're losing one of the players that he wanted to keep. It's just be down to the player, really. So he needs his head turned, really, to get him to Liverpool. If you go to Alonso, or if you go to Bayer Leverkusen, they're going to say immediately no. Because he's one of their key players. But, you know, if you offer enough money for this is a dude you pay 100 million for easily, and that's because he's worked it over time. You know, he's constant. His stats are credible. He does it season after season. You know, so he's I think he's still fairly young. What's his age? Do I see his age? I should know it. Yeah, no, I don't look at the race. He's 25, I think. 25. Yeah, so that's. Yeah. You know, that's another 8 years in the top team at a good level, you know.
Yeah, we certainly would have got a lot more years out of Fabinho if we just didn't play him in literally every single game. his legs fell off at the end of his career.
And the fact he's only on 90 grand a week as well.
Yeah, so certainly could be.
Yeah, you could double. You could give him 160 and get him for
good 5,
well, 56 million pounds maybe, which is whatever, €70 million, that kind of way. So.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. 100% there. Jack, you want any comments in as well? We are going to get through some of them, well, majority of them anyway, as we possibly can. Russell has said Edison is a pressing monster on sense. Any news on Barrios Yilmaz? I've seen that, Russell.
See something about it,
yeah, I don't think there's anything much really credible coming from that rumour, mate. I think everyone's gauging it off I think Instagram post that he put in terms of him being in London. I think it was this week. Yeah, we've already been there with what was it, Capitan Foram, and obviously the Foram brothers being in England as well, and
they were hugging each other on the steps of France. And it felt like 10 minutes later that photograph came out.
Oh no, it was it was Foram and Kone. I think every Liverpool fan lost their mind because both of them, they were fully like playing the audience in terms of the Liverpool fans out there as well. But something that one of them. Big up there. What's that in regards Forest? We would never buy from a 6 club. Of course we will. Like, what? Why would you?
Oh yeah.
What basis are you bringing that off? Really, mate. I was going to say, please add a bit more foundation to the comments as well in terms of elaborate. Really, yeah. I don't think Liverpool would. I'd love a Wales where we'd go out.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
So
he's from Big 6 club.
Yeah,
like, sometimes we go from, sometimes we don't. They buy from other people. Like if anybody has the pulling power, like United couldn't buy from any of these clubs, bar maybe Chelsea.
Like the one top 6 signing, Kev, that United should have made over the last couple of seasons was Harry Kane. Harry Kane in that Manchester United team would have been absolutely phenomenal. Like, it would have been there Robin van Persie that they've been crying out for since he left, and like Wayne Rooney as well. So. It's going to be one of them, kind of like, you know. So it's 100%, lad, 100%. Chat, let us know. But let's get to your comments. As Matthias has said, there is 100% rule that the number 6 must be at least 6 feet. Sorry. Do you agree with that, Kev?
Yeah, well, I'd like a fella that's tall to be able to jump for a header. But you know, if you had the likes of an N'Golo Kante that didn't need to do that, wait for the ball to bounce and then lean in. Look. Each player's got their own strengths, you know. Where, you know, some guys win the ball in the air before it drops to the ground. That's Fabinho was able to do that for a point in time. Patrick Vieira was able to do that for a point in time. Rodri can do that. Then you've other guys like N'Golo Kante and that win the ball after the first bounce or after the header. You know, because if somebody heads it on, he's just there to block the guy, intercept and clear up. So there's different ways of playing DMs, different ways of doing it, and I'm not bothered as long as he's capable at his role and he does what he's supposed to do, which is protect the 2 lads behind him in Verge and whoever's going to be sitting next to Verge, Ibu or, you know, Kwanzaa or whoever's going to be there. They need protecting because that's what's opened up Virgil and the lads in the last couple of seasons is not having the right guys that drop back in front of him. So I think if Slotty's going to work as a defensive unit when we're on defence, I think everybody's going to drop back. I think the press is going to happen from the front again. And I think you'll see the return of a bit of heavy metal football as Klopp kind of started it all. But I think Slot's got his own ideas when it comes to that anyway. So we'll see. Slot ball anyway.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I'm going to put another suggestion in the chat as well. Edson Alvarez, I think another interesting one. Don't think West Ham would sell him. I want to get it straight out there. But yet again, passing-wise, not the best, but he's in a West Ham side that you actually just got the ball and pumped it up to their strikers. It was David Moyes' ball, to say the least, anyway. But obviously, his time at Ajax for a very long time, the Mexican is I think he's adapted really well, and I think considering to get those defensive statistics in terms of in the top 11 percentile and tackles in the Premier League, interceptions top 12 percentile, blocks as well, clearances. Probably would understand why he's playing for obviously West Ham as well, but I think those passing statistics, certainly for a lad that has played at Ajax, he wouldn't have been at Ajax if he couldn't pass a ball 5 or 10 yards anyway. We know how the Johan Cruyff philosophy is all about, the Ajax philosophy. So I think if he was in a more dominant possession-based team like like a Manchester City or a Liverpool or even an Arsenal as well, I think he'd really thrive, Kev.
Because of his successful take-ons, you can see that he's able to hold on to the ball. The problem is he hasn't got an outlet ahead of him. All he has is Jared Bowen running to the wing, and probably Antonio ahead of him or something like that. And he might have to give a long ball. And you see, when you see progressive passes and carries and touches, and and progressive passes recorded, and your passes attempted, they're just lay-off passes. He can only lay it back, and that's not a progressive pass. So if you're playing in the West Ham side that way, he might win the ball and turn it over, but his pass completion is really good, but his progressive carries and passes aren't great. That's because he has to constantly turn around and pass it back. So he's passing either out to Souček, or he's passing it, back towards Albana or whoever's in the defence. And that brings his stats right down for his progressive passing. But that's only because he's playing in West Ham, and that's West Ham ball, So if he was playing the Liverpool side, he'd probably turn around a lot more and be looking for McAllister or Szoboszlai or Salah or Elliott, or even an early ball to Nunes, because it shows that he can do successful take-ons, so he can take players on, but then he hasn't got an outlet to carry. His pass completion is fairly good for stats that have terrible progressive pass players. But look, the rest of his stats speak for themselves: blocks, clearances, aerials won. He's playing pretty much as a third centre back right in front of him, almost like a forward sweeper. But tackles are his tackles there for the defensive midfielder. That's how he's winning the ball back. Is the 89th percentile. That's very, very good. So that is a good shout for he's got a DM as well for a Liverpool squad, because you'll see those stats in the middle tier completely turning around if he was playing in a team like Liverpool or Man City. Yeah,
100%, miss 100%. Chat, there's no thoughts on Alvarez. Don't think West Ham fans would be best pleased. I've had a little look in terms of him coming to Liverpool, but he certainly, if he continues playing really well, I think especially West Ham don't try and get a bit more higher up in the Premier League. I think the same with Newcastle, teams that don't finish in European football. I know people will go, Europa League and all that, but it's what these players want to play is Champions League football consistently, really. And that helps their European standing as well in terms of their national sides. And it gets a lot more bigger clubs like Real Madrid, Barca, Inters, the Bayerns, really other teams to really look at their play as well. So it's going to be one of them. It's I think we've more or less went through a couple of the players, really. I think the main ones for me were Pape, Matar as well. Obviously, Edson Alvarez, really, for me as well. Bruno, I'd like Liverpool to have a little look at. I know it cost a lot of money, certainly, as well. But I think if he comes to Liverpool,
a lot of those buys are unrealistic just because of the clubs that they're at and they're not selling at the moment. So I think West Ham need Edson to stay there, especially if something happens with Paquet. Is it Paquet that's getting done for the?
I think so. Yeah.
So if that's the case, he can't go anywhere.
Why are they for you unachievable? Is it a case that you're balancing with Liverpool just fundamentally won't pay the money required?
Both. I think Liverpool won't pay that kind of money for maybe for Guimaraes if he's there, but only because if they see that Newcastle are desperate, but they already know that Newcastle are desperate because Newcastle came to them with Gordon rather than the opposite way around. So, or came to us with Gordon, rather than the opposite way around. But it's the money wise. If they still label this guy as 100 million, when they know that they need to sell, then Liverpool won't. They'll drop it down. But I think that Sarr's just I think another season for Sarr, or maybe another season. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to that's why I had a little look at him, mate. 21 years old. I think if he has another very good season like he has done, statistically there, very balanced across the board in all departments. I think if they go to the Europa League
the end of this season, or even the Conference League, Liverpool could snap him up like that at the end of this season. But I don't think right now, because he's still finding his feet at Spurs. I think it's too much of a risk for Liverpool to take. They want to see him for another season. But that for me. For me, the ones that are almost even in the same boat with the ones that I said, Palacios is almost unachievable, but achievable at the same time. All depends on whether they can turn the player's head. It has to have they can't do a deal in with Bayer Leverkusen or Alonso because they don't want to sell him, but they'd have to turn the player's head to do it. I think back in the days, they used to call that thing tapping up, but no, that's not a thing anymore. The player's head, if there's interest in there and he's been informed, they'll just say it anyway.
So you go with Fofana as well. Would you say your top three were Palacios?
Palacios is number one by a country mile. It would have been Neves would have been in there as well if he hadn't moved this week.
He's looking like he's going to PSG as well.
This guy's already gone, I think. So yeah, he's already. I said it like 2 days ago, and it was like, oh yeah, I'd love Neves, and then I realized he was gone. So yeah, he's there. And Neves would have been a good shout as well. Unless somebody's got, like, the only reason that I look at Edson Alvarez and those stats is because he's playing in the Premier League in the West Ham side, and I just think that he could be a good show. He could be played away from West Ham out of all of those guys, out of all the guys you've mentioned.
Yeah.
But if I saw those stats in somebody in the Portuguese league or the Eredivisie or whatever like that, then I'm like, that's not worth a risk taking, because you're talking about a league that's, that a lot of people are able to progressive carry a lot. You see most of the midfielders not having progressive carries. So yeah,
Yeah, 100% there, mate. And chat's obviously alluding. We'll get to all your comments as well, chat. Absolute legends. Christian, thoughts on João Gomez, the Wolves lad, another one. João Gomez, I think it's that João Gomez that you're alluding to there, Christian. Very good. Another young player, and I think he's Brazilian DM as well. If he has a very good season again, I think similar with the likes of Newcastle and obviously Tottenham, really will struggle. I think a lot of clubs would come knocking on the door. Probably one of the best young players, along with Sarr, in the Premier League, currently applying the trade in those defensive midfield positions as well. Big up there, Frillette. Big up Jack, and hello, Coach Spider as well. Great, as Forrester said there, great player. Only problem is the injury history as well. Yeah,
I got up that player earlier as well, Richard Rios, in the stats as well. Yeah. Is it that guy though? He's Colombian, right? But he's only played 439 minutes.
Oh, that's literally 4 games.
12 games, 7 in the Serie A and 5 in the.
I haven't even heard of him, not even being honest.
Yeah, he's played well for Colombia and all that, but his stats are okay. I mean, his successful take-ons and progressive carries are good. His blocks are very good, 94%, and his aerials are around 70. Tackles 64. So yeah, how old is he? He is 24 though. That's kind of, it's a bit. Look, I just go by. I see the stats and I'm saying maybe on the eye he looks good, but the stats aren't backing it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, really, to say the least, going into the summer window for Liverpool and other as well. You do love some of the comments. Sorry, lads, got to shoot. Lee, how are we, lads? There we go, lads.
Cheers, Lee.
Big up there, Ian.
Couple of jokers.
Big up there, Ian.
Why are we joking, lad? Go on, tell us.
Yeah, there we go. And welcome in. It's good to see the Newcastle fans. We've got plenty.
Yeah,
Newcastle.
A few of them popping, yeah.
Yeah, so as I said, just little suggestions there, Ian. Don't get too at it, really. It's only a bit of fun. It's football at the end of the day, lad.
It's the stats. I only ever talk. I talk in banter and stats. That's what I talk in.
Yeah, all good. So yeah, don't get too mad. It's only Bruno. I tell you, Ian, are you looking forward to Champions League football next year as well, mate?
Oh no, but that's what I said today. That's what I said about Guimaraes. I'm saying that he is very, very important to
he's
Newcastle, but Newcastle need to sell players right now to stay within FFP. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they'll try to keep on to him, and I think that's why they're trying to get out Gordon, and Isak could be played away if they wanted to get, if they still had Callum Winston on the books. It'll be
so if Isaac and Bruno did leave.
Yeah, they'd be screwed for a couple of seasons again. And I wouldn't blame them for being angry as a fan base. They're just taking over, and it's kind of unfair for them in a way, because how much City have gotten away with it, and Chelsea have gotten away with it in the last decade or so, and and they can't benefit from the boys. So
it is mad. Yeah. But big up there, Ian. Welcome to the channel, mate. Everyone's welcome, as long as you're all respectful in the comments to one another as well. So all well and good. Thriller, there we go, mate. Imagine João Gomez and
João Gomez that together.
We wanted them as well. Matthias is 24 as well. But I was going to say, mate, have a good weekend, everyone that is just tuned in anyway. Big up there, Doom. A couple of new names in here. Is unrealistic for you lot right now.
One more season, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, big up there, Doom. I'm guessing you're a Tottenham fan, mate. If there's any Tottenham fans, I think they'll be disappointed, to say the least, if a player of his ability did leave Tottenham. This is why it's so important, Kev, in terms of going into this new season, especially with a lot of uncertainty from our football club in terms of how we.
It's uncertainty for other teams as well, Jack, because if they see that we want the number 6, other teams are going to be worried if we start sniffing around them, you know. So I can see it from both sides, you know, that if we want to go for somebody, we know the money is there. We were going to throw 105 million on Caicedo last season and pull out of it last second, and thank goodness we did, because, you know, we brought in Matar and he had a better season than Caicedo, you know. So and the dude was 30 odd and knackered by the end of it. So look, I don't know what's going to happen. Chelsea are going to be a bit all over the shop, especially with Enzo Fernandez and what he's done recently, and especially playing in there with all the Chelsea fan or players of different cultures and following him and stuff like that. You know, it's just going to be a tainted place to go to in Chelsea at the moment. So, you know, I think a lot of people are going to try and jump ship in the summer, and it is going to be a lot of, you'd expect a lot of chopping and changing because of all the stuff that's gone on. So
yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially if some of those Chelsea players do want to leave on big contracts. I think fundamentally, if you're putting in, it depends how desperate Chelsea are to try and get rid of a couple of players that if they don't really work out. Chelsea are being playing catch up, a bit similar with Manchester United. Everyone's alluding to the amount of money Chelsea and United and other clubs and going. Obviously, Liverpool, we haven't spent as much as those clubs, but I think
didn't need to.
Yeah, fundamentally, Liverpool and City have been battling out for the last 5-6 year period, going hammer and tong really, and producing some fantastic football. Arsenal over the last 2 years have really got into the mix, and it's really good to see. Potentially, as much as I don't want to see Manchester United winning a league title, but I just don't get the rivalry with City. There's never been a rivalry with Manchester City for me. As there would be with Manchester United. It's one thing City winning a league, but if it was Man United and we were going until like the last game of the season, like the adrenaline, it would be crazy to say the least as well. But it's Manchester United. I know our rivalry in football aside as well, they are alongside Real Madrid and us, the big clubs in European football.
Yeah.
We are the top dogs in England anyway. And then obviously like Tottenham, Chelsea, and other clubs around there. And Arsenal just below Liverpool and Manchester United. But those three, Arsenal, United, and Liverpool, the three big clubs in England. I was say. Arsenal certainly not European football. But Kev,
yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, I am going to round off with on the number 6 debate this evening, mate. It's
not really much of a debate. It's just what we're going to have to see from Slot, really. You know, I mean, it's the formation types that he plays. I mean, he plays an alternate 4-3-3, which can balance between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Now, he says that himself. He doesn't play a 4-2-3-1, but when you see some of the formation movements within the squad, they get into those positions when they're on attack, and you know, when they get past the baseline of the number 6. I'm just looking forward to seeing what he does with the 4-4-2 defensive unit and the tuck inside. That'll be nice to see. I just look, we at the moment, people shouldn't be worried too much about what signings we're making. We've already got the list. Edwards and Hughes and all that have sorted the list a long time ago of who they want, and they're knocking off as people are being bought. They're leaving people. They'll probably have to put feelers out to agents and stuff. Look, we're on the look, but at the moment we're just letting Slot assess the team. And once he assesses the team and he says, "Look, yeah, we're a little light here, and here," then, you know, they'll pull the trigger. And that's all it's about. The lists are already done up. The people, they already know who's there, and common sense says that they'll just pull the trigger as soon as Slot said it. And Hughes and Slot have said it themselves in the interview. You know, they're going to assess the team first, and when you hear it from the horse's mouth, you know, that's just the way it's going to work. About signings and stuff like that, none of them are mentioned, because I think somebody's mentioned earlier that they said that they weren't going for somebody right now. They wouldn't mention that, you know. They would say, look, at the moment we're not looking at anybody or mentioning anybody that we're looking at or whatever, or do we need to get one yet? Look, they're just covering their bases and making sure that they keep the players that we have there sweet at the moment, without a few of them looking to leave if they know that their position is up for grabs. You know, so they're playing the cards close to their chest. It's a testing time for Liverpool because of losing Klopp and the camaraderie that he built with some of the players. So just a slightest grain of sand shift could shift a couple of the players' mindsets to go elsewhere when we don't want them to go elsewhere yet. You know, It's been very, very tactical is what's happening right now.
Yeah, the loss of Klopp has caused our fan base to go mad. And people even that wanted him out are going, oh, we need to sign these players in terms of getting back up to City as well. There will come a day where Pep Guardiola does leave Manchester City.
This season.
Yeah,
I think it's the end of the season. Yeah,
next season or in 5 years, City will have that same debate because for what Pep and Klopp have done in the Premier League, and rival fans might go, "Oh, it's only one league title," but let's not forget the 5 periods of seasons. Obviously, you had the odd season where Liverpool would off it, but that was obviously due to injuries and not really signing adequate quality of players in as well. It's just so difficult, really, to win the Premier League as well. I think that's why United, in terms of bedding in their players over the last 10 years since Fergie's left, it's not as easy as every football fan seems as well. And big up there, Ian, as well, for the Geordie lad coming in. Welcome to the channel as well. And big up there to absolute sound geezer by all accounts here. Yeah, he's a Spurs fan. I would be disappointed. Just be honestly, don't see it happening right now with all things considered. Levy would be asking for loads, and I don't see Sarr forcing a move right now.
He doesn't need to.
Yeah, and from an outside point of view, Doom, big up, mate. Thank you for tuning in, mate, and being sound. It's going to be one of them, Doom. In all honesty, I watch from an outside point of view, watching Tottenham. If I was a Spurs fan, luckily I'm not, Levy would absolutely infuriate me to the end, really, where you've literally just lost Harry Kane over the last year or the year before as well. You had Heung-min Son. I think that year where you finished second in the Champions League, where we beat you as well, that should have been the season where Tottenham fully invested in that squad.
Yeah.
Poch should never have gone nowhere. I can understand where people's frustrations with Poch at Tottenham, but for what he built at that time in terms of getting the players better as well, I think it would have, I think you've took a couple of steps back, but I think the manager that you've got at the minute surprised a lot of people. I know everyone jokes about Tottenham being top of the league for 5-10 weeks. He's done well. It's just yet again, Kev, with Tottenham and teams like Newcastle and even Villa, we'll find out next season. A bit similar with Newcastle, where if Villa don't get the strength in depth, I think they really will struggle. Combining that with European football, Champions League football, and then Premier League as well, 2 games a week, it really drains a lot out of the side. Oh, you're on mute there, lad.
My bad. Kids came in. So the Villa are teetering on the edge at the moment. You know, they've got the bones of a really good side there, and they're in danger of being kind of taken apart over the next season or so. You know, it could leave them having to do another rebuild, really. If they don't hit the ground running this season. I think them as a team are probably one of the teams under the most pressure to hit that top 4 because of, you know, the what they've done over the last couple of seasons and how they've built on it. And you know, they could be okay with getting Europa League football again or whatnot. But I mean, we could be there with them. You know, we could be like we were a couple of seasons ago, where we're just kind of developing our new formations or new tactics. But I think we'll come good, you know, as we normally do second half of the season. I would just like to see more from us, you know, around the October time, around January time again. I remember the point is, especially the couple of seasons there where we almost won the league and then won the league over a period. We didn't lose games in December. We never lost games in January. And then, you know, all of a sudden, we went the year after we won the league, we lost 6 in a row at home in January or something like that in February. And then, you know, there's times where the biggest teams can drop off as well. But because we can recover fairly quick, I think, you know, Newcastle and Villa are 2 teams that are under pressure to really, you know, move up the table and solidify it in the league, you know, and because Arsenal have improved over the last few seasons. Because Arsenal were in danger of being one of those teams that dropped off a bit because they weren't getting anywhere or you know, they weren't getting into Champions League football for a good long while and all of that. But they've turned it around under Arteta. And yeah, for me, look, it's Newcastle, it's your Aston Villa, Brighton and Wolves and all them. They can bounce up and down all they want, and they'll be
so
okay.
Competitive, the Premier League.
It is very competitive.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Big up to everyone that's tuned in this evening as well. Do drop a like on the video as well. Really just help out. And when you're checking out,
I'm going to get the fantasy football up here as well, and I'll drop it into the chat. If anybody's into fantasy football, we'll drop the link into the chat, and you can join our league, and you know, we can talk about it as the season goes on as well.
Yeah, good. Kev's going to drop that in on as well on his account. Big up there, Forest. Guys, what do we think? Where do you think we finish if we don't sign anyone? Just fun. Do we keep our third place spot? I'd say Forest, yeah. But there's a lot of different things. I think if Liverpool would potentially struggle if we did get a couple of big injuries, like some McAllister, if Alisson did get, obviously, is Kelleher leaving at Liverpool, then they'll be getting 10, 15, 20 million for them. So there's going to be a lot to that, Kev, really. But yeah. I don't think we will go into the new season or come the end of the window not signing anyone. I think that'd be extreme.
No, I don't think that's. I think we're signing people. Whether it'll be 2 or 4 is the thing. Across the board, it all depends on what we're going to do with Costas Tsimikas. It all depends on what we're going to do with Joe Gomez. It all depends on what we're going to do with. Are we taking another risk season on Jota? I love Jota, best finisher that we have in the club at the moment. But are they going to see his injury record and say, are we going to? If he's injured again for the first half of the season, because he's injured right now, if he's injured again for the first half of the season, then will Liverpool look to kind of move him on in January, or just while we still get value off him? So there's lots of little eggshells to walk on here that we don't know. We don't know what way it's going to turn out, but I'd say, for me, I'd say we do need to bring in a 6. Or you really, and another centre half. But does Slot really trust Martin or Bajcetic to come up and battle with Harouendu for that position? I would love to see us growing players from within and promoting them from within and doing what Trent has done and what Jones have done and all of that within the club, but I don't want to risk it on a titles challenging season,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Nice one that for us for the comments. What do you anticipate Liverpool to finish? Callum, do we win the Prem? We should have won it last. We had a bad finish, and it's one of the one. Callum, winning the league for anyone, even like City, and only done it 4 times in a row. That's unheard of, really. Even Man United couldn't even done that. But obviously, United very successful under Ferguson as well. It'll be a very good signing. In all honesty, but the thing is, it's not just going to need Euro. With Man United, it's going to take a lot more than just Euro. I think if Casemiro is to leave, I think if you do bring in Ugarte, that's a very good step forward for Manchester United. But it all comes from Erik ten Hag. They need to stop conceding the sheer amount of shots on goal. That was for a Manchester United side. The Manchester United side, anyway, you can't be going into games conceding 20 shots every single game. You're bound to come unstuck. Regardless of Real Madrid, Liverpool, if you're conceding that sheer amount of shots on goal, you're going to struggle to win games anyway. But it's been an absolute stream tonight, everyone. Massive thank you to everyone getting involved. You're absolute legends. Please do head over to Kev's, obviously in the description. Obviously, Spider LFC, Spider Gaming as well. Kev, you got any streams on the horizon, lad? Yeah.
I just finished one actually before I came onto the channel. I just finished off the Nobody Wants to Die, so that's done and dusted. I have Flintlock and a horror called Supernatural that I need to play as well, and that'll scare the absolute bejesus off you. There's and amongst other games that I'm going to be playing. But you'll find me at Irish Spider Guy on YouTube and Twitch and Kick, and you'll also find me at Spider LFC for all Liverpool content and watch-alongs and all that for the forthcoming season on Facebook, as well as that Spider on Facebook as well. So you find me pretty much everywhere.
Happy days. The Reds. Well, fundamentally, massive thank you to every single one of you that has tuned in, even the rival fans that have been sound. Everyone getting the comments in as well. Tried to get through every single one as we possibly could. Apologies that Connor couldn't come on this evening. Probably get a message, but hopefully everything is all good with Connor as well. But chat,
I think that fantasy link didn't come through there, Jack. I put the post up, but it didn't come onto the page.
Yeah, we'll get that sorted anyway.
Yeah.
I'll get that onto the channel as well. But Kev, everyone, have a lovely rest of your Saturday evening. If you are watching on the repeat as well, do get involved in the comments. Let us know your top 5 DMs that you'd like potentially Liverpool to sign. We've got plenty of shows coming this week as well in terms of looking at the centre-back positions, the attacking areas as well, where Liverpool can improve going into the new era alongside Arne Slot at the helm. But Reds, look after yourself, everyone. Look after yourself. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, you'll never walk alone.
Look,